The empire that vanished without fire. 5,000 years ago, while Egypt raised its pyramids and Mesopotamia carved its first laws, another empire flourished in silence. An empire larger than Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. 5 million people, over 1,000 cities, advanced beyond anything their world had seen. Then, without war, without fire, without conquest, it vanished. This is the story of the empire that history forgot, until now. 1922. British archaeologist John Marshall receives a curious report from the railway construction zone in Punjab. Workers have been plundering ancient bricks for railway ballast. But these bricks are different. Perfectly fired, standardized dimensions, 4,000 years old. Marshall begins to dig. What he uncovers changes everything we thought we knew about ancient civilization. Not one city, not 10, over 1,400 settlements spanning an area of 1.5 million square kilometers. The Indus Valley Civilization, and it was more advanced than anyone imagined possible. Mohenjo-daro, the Mound of the Dead, population 40,000. In 2500 BCE, this makes it one of the largest cities on Earth. But size isn't what makes this place extraordinary. Every house connects to a covered sewage system, terracotta pipes, inspection manholes, water filtration tanks, technology that won't appear in Europe for another 3,000 years. Private bathrooms, sitting toilets, waste chutes leading to underground drains. Streets laid out in perfect grid patterns, aligned to cardinal directions with 1-degree accuracy. Main boulevards exactly 10 meters wide. Every brick manufactured in a 4:2:1 ratio, standardized across the entire empire, from Afghanistan to Gujarat, 1,000 miles of identical urban planning. Precision weights accurate to 0.05 grams, advanced metallurgy, bead-making factories producing identical beads by the thousands. This was not just a civilization, this was a system. But here's what archaeologists cannot find. No palaces, no temples, no monuments to kings, no statues of gods, no weapon arsenals, no fortification walls. And a written language no one can read. 400 symbols, thousands of inscriptions, 0 breakthroughs. We decoded Egyptian hieroglyphics, Sumerian cuneiform, Mayan glyphs, but the Indus script remains silent. Without their words, we're left with questions. Who ruled this empire? What did they believe? What were they called? We don't even know what they named themselves. 2009. Archaeologists excavate a small area of Mohenjo-daro. What they find frees them cold. 44 skeletons, sprawled in streets and houses, unburied, as if they fell where they stood. For decades, this scene fueled wild theories: ancient atomic warfare, alien intervention, divine punishment. But modern forensic analysis reveals something more disturbing. These bodies date to the very end of the city's occupation, 1900 BCE, the civilization's final years. The evidence shows malnutrition, disease, bodies weakened by famine. This wasn't a massacre. This was collapse. The Indus Valley Civilization thrived for 700 years. Then, around 2200 BCE, something changed. Paleoclimatologists studying ancient sediments discovered the trigger. The monsoons were failing. For centuries, the summer monsoons had been weakening. The great Ghaggar-Hakra river system was drying up. This wasn't just a river. This was the lifeline of the entire civilization. Archaeologists now believe it was larger than the Indus itself. Today, it's a ghost, a dried scar across the landscape. Between 2200 and 1900 BCE, the climate shifted. Rainfall decreased by 20 to 30%. In an agricultural society, this is catastrophic. Crops failed, granaries emptied. The cities that once supported millions could no longer feed themselves. But here's what makes the Indus collapse unique. They didn't fight. There are no mass graves, no burned buildings, no evidence of warfare or invasion. Instead, the people simply left. They migrated east to the Gangetic Plains, south into Gujarat. The cities didn't burn, they were abandoned. The urban centers were evacuated, but the civilization didn't die, it transformed. Archaeological evidence shows people reverting to smaller rural settlements. The writing system disappeared, the standardization dissolved, the empire decentralized. Around 1900 BCE, the last inscriptions were carved, the last standardized bricks were fired. The system collapsed, not in fire, in silence. Dholavira, a major Indus city in western Gujarat. Here, archaeologists discovered something remarkable: massive water conservation reservoirs, capacity enough to sustain the city through multi-year droughts. They saw the crisis coming. They tried to adapt. Evidence shows desperate attempts at water management. Reservoirs expanded, wells deepened, drainage systems modified to capture every drop. But it wasn't enough. Dholavira was abandoned around 1800 BCE. Lothal, a port city with the world's earliest known dock, precision engineering connecting the city to the Arabian Sea. Trade networks extended to Mesopotamia, Persian Gulf, East Africa. But when the rivers dried and the cities emptied, the trade routes died too. By 1700 BCE, the dock was dry, the ships were gone. But the people survived, and their DNA tells the story. 2018, geneticists trace the ancestry of modern South Asians. The results are stunning. The people of the Indus Valley didn't disappear, they dispersed. Their descendants are everywhere across India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh. And their culture persisted. The famous Pashupati seal from Mohenjo-daro shows a figure in a yogic posture, 4,500 years old. Ritual bathing, the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro, mirrors the sacred Ghats of modern India. Geometric art patterns, weight measurement systems, village planning, even certain religious symbols. The empire dissolved, but the culture transformed and endured. They built an empire without kings, cities without temples, prosperity without conquest. For 700 years, 5 million people lived in relative peace, unprecedented organization, and technological sophistication. When their world changed, they didn't wage war for resources, they adapted. And when adaptation failed, they walked away. No monuments survive to tell us their kings' names. No inscriptions boast of their conquests. Perhaps that's the greatest mystery of all. An empire so advanced, it needed no glory. It simply needed to exist. The empire that vanished without fire, still speaking in the silence.